Breaking: U.S. deploys most powerful warship near Philippine waters. Tensions rise with China. The U.S. Navy's Nimitz-class nuclear-powered aircraft carrier USS George Washington, CVN-73, has been deployed in Philippine waters, underscoring the deepening defense cooperation between Manila and Washington amid continued tensions in the South China Sea. The ABS-CBN news team was among the select members of Philippine media who boarded the USS George Washington on Wednesday while it navigated the disputed waters and conducted flight drills. "We share the values of free and open Indo-Pacific region. That's why we're out here. We know the importance of this region. It's a vast region, many nations. Most of them are coastline. The importance of the open and free sea lane just from a commercial aspect alone, it's important to them, it's important to us," said Captain Timothy Waits, commanding officer. The U.S. has been deploying several major naval units in the Western Pacific, where China recently flexed its military power with a dual aircraft carrier deployment, a move seen by observers as challenging America's naval dominance. "There are other ships that are working with us, that are coming in as well," Waits told reporters. USS George Washington quietly departed its home port, Yokosuka Naval Base, last month and embarked on its first patrol since returning to Japan last year, coinciding with increased Chinese naval activity in the Pacific region. Asked if the deployment is in response to China's moves, Waits noted that the carrier's sail is part of a routine patrol to demonstrate commitment to regional stability. "This is a typical patrol for us. We're out here to do what we do and express those shared ideals with our partners and allies in the region, and that is the free and independent Indo-Pacific ideal that we have," he said. Named after the United States' first president, the USS George Washington is the U.S. Navy's 7th Fleet's premier forward-deployed aircraft carrier. It is one of the most powerful warships in the world, with capabilities that support a wide range of military and humanitarian missions. It was last deployed in the Philippines in 2013 to support search and rescue operations and disaster relief efforts in the aftermath of Typhoon Yolanda, Haiyan. At 1,092 feet long, longer than the Metrobank Center, the tallest building in the Philippines, USS George Washington's capabilities include high-speed, long-range operations, and the ability to deploy and support a wide array of advanced aircraft. It remains to be seen whether the U.S. will be able to maintain its presence in the Western Pacific while simultaneously conducting missions in the Middle East, where the Israel-Iran conflict has raised tensions. The USS George Washington's presence in the West Philippine Sea serves as a powerful message not only to China but to regional allies and partners that the United States remains committed to maintaining a balance of power in the Indo-Pacific. As tensions rise due to China's increasing militarization and territorial assertiveness, the U.S. deployment adds a layer of deterrence and reassurance for nations like the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia, which have ongoing maritime disputes with Beijing. Security experts note that the carrier's patrol could also be viewed as part of the U.S.'s broader Indo-Pacific strategy, which includes freedom of navigation operations, FONOPs, military capacity building with allies, and joint exercises such as Balikatan and RIMPAC. The USS George Washington's patrol follows a string of high-profile U.S. naval movements in the region, including the rotational presence of destroyers, amphibious assault ships, and surveillance aircraft. Meanwhile, China has responded with increased patrols of its own, including the deployment of its Liaoning and Shandong aircraft carriers, as well as Coast Guard and militia vessels operating near disputed islands and reefs. Beijing continues to accuse the U.S. of provoking instability and interfering in regional affairs. While Washington asserts its right to sail in international waters and support allies under the rules-based international order, the strategic implications of this face-off are significant. For the Philippines, welcoming a U.S. aircraft carrier so close to contested waters represents a marked shift from the previous administration's more China-friendly stance. Under President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., Manila has reinvigorated ties with Washington, granting access to additional military bases under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, EDCA, and increasing participation in joint drills. Beyond the symbolic value, the presence of the USS George Washington enhances interoperability between U.S. and Philippine forces. The Carrier Strike Group conducts flight operations, radar surveillance, and maritime domain awareness activities that allow real-time information sharing and tactical coordination. Philippine defense officials have lauded this cooperation as vital for building deterrence capabilities against gray zone tactics such as maritime harassment, laser targeting, and water cannon attacks tactics China has increasingly used against Philippine vessels near Scarborough Shoal and Ayungin, 2nd Thomas Shoal. Still, the deployment is not without risks. The crowded and contested waters of the South China Sea are a potential flashpoint. Analysts warn that an unintended collision, miscommunication, or aggressive maneuver could escalate into a wider conflict, especially with multiple powers operating in close proximity. The U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty adds further complexity. As any armed attack on Philippine forces in the Pacific could legally obligate the U.S. to respond militarily. As Washington juggles its commitments in both the Indo-Pacific and the Middle East, where tensions involving Iran, Israel, and proxy groups continue to simmer, questions remain about the sustainability of America's dual-front deterrence strategy. Nevertheless, for now, the USS George Washington stands as a steel-clad reminder that the U.S. intends to hold its ground in the West Philippine Sea whatever the cost.